All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Real Estate Investing with Alex Deacon, where today's episode, the intro is going to be longer than the actual episode itself.
It's going to be a quickie.
It's going to be a quickie. Listen, guys, what we want to do is we want to go over a really quick topic called evaluate a property in 5 minutes. And basically, this is where Alex is going to go through and show you how quickly you can evaluate a property. We've talked about it on other of our podcasts, different episodes. But this one is really honing in on just that specific 5-minute walkthrough that he typically does. So before we get to that, I got to get to the cheap plugs. Find us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. Deacon Hoover. Search all outlets. Search that. DHREA.com. That's our website. Find our listings, news, updates, blogs, podcasts, you name it. All of our information's right there. All of our great advisors are there. You can see Alex's beautiful face on that website.
You're so kind.
Make sure, what am I missing here? Make sure you're checking out Pittsburgh, Alex Deacon's meetups, the Pittsburgh Landlording Group, and Real Estate Investing Networking Group that Alex has on Meetup. Got a ton, you guys have heard this on every intro now. He's over 100 members on his landlording group. He's over 650 members with his real estate investing group. You want to join, you want to network. It's growing faster, I think, than either of us probably thought. And if you need to get a hold of Mr. Deacon here, it's alex@alexdeacon.com. So, now that we've plugged everything.
That was a mouthful.
Like Kevin Owens will fight anything.
Woo.
We've plugged everything.
All right, what's the topic today, sir?
You are going to evaluate a property in 5 minutes is what you're going to do.
Wow.
So, what I'm going to do is shut my mouth.
Oh man!
And you're gonna kind of walk us through a quick little
promises.
Yeah, right. Oh man. So I'll sit back. I'll let you go through it, and then if I'm gonna take any questions down, and then we'll do that at the end if need be. But Mr. Deacon,
all right.
The floor is yours.
Quickly, we'll try to keep this to 5 minutes. We've done desktop evaluation podcasts, which is maybe more in depth, but when you're looking at properties, you have to look at a whole bunch before you can evaluate the ones you wanted to see, and then make offers on those ones, and then hopefully get one. So, how to quickly evaluate a property is the first thing I look for is the first thing you want to see is pictures. If you don't have pictures, it's hard because you're gonna probably have to go see it because you're gonna take someone's word for the condition, and their move-in condition may not be your move-in condition, may not be the consumer's move-in condition. So if you can get pictures from the person selling it or the agent representing the person who's selling it, the more pictures, the better. Secondly, room sizes are important. A 4-bedroom house with 4 bedrooms that are 9 by 9 is not going to be a rentable or sellable property at a house that has 4 bedrooms that are 15 by 12. Okay, completely different. So square footage. So room sizes and square footage. So I look at square footage a lot when I'm evaluating. Does it have on-street or off-street parking? Garage, off-street, on-street. Is the garage even a usable garage? Because sometimes you have a garage that you can't even, because the alley, you can't get into it. It's more like a glorified shed. Or it's a garage underneath the house that's very narrow that you could probably only get a very small car in and open up the doors. I've seen that.
Or the Batmobile.
Then you have, are there a lot of steps? So if you have off-street parking or on-street, but let's say you have off-street and then you got to climb 40 steps to get home. That's going to affect the value.
Right.
So these are quickly way to evaluate this. A lot of times you can find the house on Google Earth, and you'll just look at the street map or the street version view, so you can see the neighborhood. So you get a general idea of what the neighborhood's like. Picks and room sizes, we talked about that. Then recent sales. So based on what you see in the pictures and what you see on recent sales. Well, how do I find recent sales? I mean, I guess the easiest way is to go on would be like Zillow.
Right.
Because a lot of times that'll at least give you a general idea. Sometimes Zillow is very difficult to use as the end-all value because there's so many different variables. Right. One street could be a $1 million street because it has a view, and literally 2 streets over or 1 street over could be that the value could be cut in half
because it doesn't have an overlooking scene.
Yeah, so that's that's maybe a little bit overkill, but that's how values can fluctuate. Yeah, absolutely. So need to do an evaluation as far as recent sales. Now, in a neighborhood, let's just like it's a townhome community, and there's only 3 different models of townhome, and they're all really the same. Some of them have a 2-foot bump out and they have a bigger kitchen, or some might have these small nuances that affect value a little bit. Very easy to do an evaluation online, right? So now that you have all that information, you're going to take the pictures. If you have pictures, you're going to go room by room. So you're going to do living room, carpet and paint. Kitchen needs complete rehab. Bathroom needs rehab. Bedrooms just need carpet and paint. Furnace looks good. Electrical box looks good. So you could come up with these values of what it's going to cost. So kitchen's $10,000, bathrooms $5,000. You have 3 bedrooms and living room, dining room of, let's say, just $2,000 each. That's $10,000. So you're at $25,000 plus incidentals. Another 5 for mechanicals and maybe another 5 for contingency. So you're just quickly evaluating $35,000 in repairs. Let's say the owner's asking $40,000. Mm-hmm. You need $35,000 in repairs. You have the cost to buy it. And if you're flipping it, you're going to have the buy, hold, sell costs, right? So buy it, you're going to have tax, you're going to have holding costs, you're going to have taxes to pay while you're holding it, insurance, utilities, and then the sell. If you're going to use an agent, what's that cost, transfer tax to sell, all that stuff. So let's just say that's $15,000. We're up to $90,000. This is if you're flipping it, mm-hmm. And if the property value is showing it's worth $100,000, is it worth your time and effort to go and see that property? In my opinion, it's probably not, because you're working on a $10,000 margin, and I'm sure by the time you get there, there's going to be other things that you see. There's just not enough margin to get in your car. Now, in that same scenario, if the owner's asking $20,000 and your property budget based on the pictures and what you assess is $30,000, and you have $15,000 buy, hold, and sell, that's now $75,000. No, 40, 50, 65. That's $65,000. The values, the ARV after repair value is $100. Now get in your car and go look at it. Now it's worth the trip. Because if you're going to look at 20 properties a day and evaluate them this quick, and you could do it even quicker than 5 minutes. That's why we talked about in our last podcast focusing on a certain geographical area and knowing that market like the back of your hand. Right. Because you'll be able to evaluate properties in a minute.
Yeah, and I always bring it up. I see you go through properties like within a minute, boom, boom, boom.
So you have, this is one, you get in your car and you go see, and you go see it right away because it sounds like it's a good deal.
Right. So good. And I think the big thing that I pulled from that is when you said that $10,000 difference on your first example. One, I totally agree with you. You never know what you're going to find after the fact, what other expenses are going to be, sewage, things that mm-hmm. we say that we always mm-hmm. can't see. But on the other side of it, we always talk about it. Hours in a week, manpower, hours in a week as far as work-wise. Is that $10,000 going to be worth the time and effort? And for some people it might be, for some people it might not be. It all depends. But the second example I think is much more enticing to everybody listening.
Mm-hmm. And the question I'll get to on top of this is, that sounds easy, Alex, but you've done this forever. How do you know what your buy, hold, and sell costs are? You educate yourself. Yep. If you're looking for Alex or any other educator out there who actually charges to do this, what I do, for them to hold your hand throughout the process and teach you everything, impossible. It's never going to happen. It's not. If you want the easy road, work a 9 to 5.
Right.
Because I don't want to see you have these dreams and aspirations and they're not in line with reality.
Right.
So if you want the quick answers, there is no quick answer. So how do you find out what the buy, hold, and sell costs are? Do your homework. Find out. That's probably the easiest thing to do.
Right.
Because you know what it's going to cost to buy, transfer tax, title insurance, stuff like that. You know what's going to cost to hold because it's the taxes a year divided by 12, utilities, interest payments. Very simple. Everything. Cost to sell, easy. Yeah. How do you research recent sales? Yeah, you're going to want to use Zillow, but you're also going to want to know that area well and follow that area in other ways too. However you need to do to learn that area and learn sales, you're going to need to do that.
And almost as you're studying an area, you should be able to see houses, and even if you're not looking at them, you could see houses go on and off the market, and see, and just kind of keep track of, a journal somewhere of the area that you're looking at. This house sold, this house listed, this house
Correct.
sold,
and that might be a 2-hour class that we do on a Saturday, which is, desktop analysis.
There we go.
That's a 2-hour class that doesn't even skim the surface of
Right.
how to evaluate a property value.
Exactly.
That's just, this is 5 minutes, then you go to 2 hours, then you go the next 5 years of your life knowing how to evaluate properties and know what the consumer wants and what they don't want, because that's going to dictate the ARV also.
And repetition is the key to learning too. The more repetition, the more you're doing it, the more you're seeing it, the more you're learning. And again, because more repetition, 1 out of 100 is typically what your percentages are, right? If you're looking at 100 houses, if you can get 1 to 3 houses out of it, you land it, then that's good. But the repetition will get you that knowledge as well.
Yep, absolutely. Educating, repetition, basic baby steps, and you will get to the end of the rainbow. But this 5 minutes just helps you summarize how to quickly do it. But there's a lot behind the scenes.
There we go. So that right there is the short process. That's a short, abbreviated, like Cliff's Notes version. Like when you're in high school and you didn't want to read the books, so you went and got the Cliff's Notes from the whatever. But when bookstores were still a thing, remember those?
I do remember those.
No, but this is the Cliff's Notes version of what you're really going to get into when you get deep. But this is a quick 5-minute analysis, because this will help you cross off how many properties quickly. Alex, would you say in about 10 minutes, how quick can you get?
Yeah, if you get really good at this, you can evaluate 100 properties in an hour.
Yeah. And cross
even less.
Yeah.
But then, so what you do is you evaluate them quickly, then you whittle that down to 20, and then out of those 20, you're spending maybe a couple minutes on each one. Then out of those 3 that you really like, you might put 5 minutes into each one.
You always say that.
And then you get in your car and you go look at it.
Right. Yeah, I always thought, like you said, you look about 10. Then once you get down to those 10, look at the what 3 or 4 you might like, and those are the ones you go see and jump on as fast as you.
Yeah, there's no real number or rule of thumb, but it's just you're looking at a lot, and you're only going to get a little. But that's fine. Quality is better than worrying about buying all 100 of them. Buy one good one.
And how do we feel about rule of thumbs anyway?
We don't like rules.
We don't like rules of thumbs. We don't. We work against them. So this, what else we have for this one? That's it. That's the 5 minutes.
I think we went over 5 minutes.
We did go over 5 minutes, but I'm going to blame my intro and me, make cracking little jokes here and there. We'll blame me. Blame Adam. It's the easiest way. Guys, listen, we appreciate you so much for tuning into this abbreviated version that got turned into a 15-minute version. But make sure you find Alex, like I said, at alexdeacon.com, Pittsburgh Property Management, dhrea.com, all of our social media accounts. Make sure you're finding all of these podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Just search Deacon Hoover, Ian Hoover, and Alex Deacon. So for everyone here and myself, we thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.